Welcome, everyone. I mean, we didn't do that many postures in TT. Yeah, it could have been Parabrita. Yeah, that's the most likely candidate. But it's gone today. Oh, yeah. Great. Often what happens is when you stretch, it contracts back again, and then that feels painful or tight. Probably Parabrita Janu Shirshasana. As long as all's well now. Great, there you go. That's good. We got too many mats out. It was very busy last week, and I thought, I'm ready. But whatever you expect, it's going to be something different. That's always the rule. Of course, it's half term, so there's a lot of people who are suffering, needing to be here, wishing that they were here. Get out of my way, children! Mummy's going to yoga. So we've got millions of spare mats. I mean, so feel free to mat hop during the class. And, you might think, actually, I'm bored of my mat now. I'll just hop to another one. You can if you want. And Zoomers are also thin on the ground, but still elite. That's the way. Oh, you mat hopped already. I would. Bit of variety, isn't it? Variety is the spice of life, they say. Right in the middle. Oh, look at that. You're like an advert for soya milk. So we're going to sit 2 blocks, one on top of the other, and a blanket, which will be placed underneath the shins. If you need more, I've got it quite thin like that, but you can, of course, fold that in half for more height if you want it or need it. The buttock flesh is drawn out and back. The voice is cleared if necessary. Palms face up. Breathing is through the nose. Just double check that I've actually pressed unmute on the thing. I think I did. Oh, I need my glasses. Palms facing up. Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Got a thumbs up there to confirm that the sound was on for our marvelous Zoomer. There's only one Zoomer today because of half term, because all the suffering parents. Sorry, I mean happy, joyous parents. Palms up, jaw soft. So this is Jnana Mudra. Depending on what part of South Asia you're from, you might pronounce that differently, like Jnana. And Jnana Mudra, Jnana means to know. It's the same as gnosis, and that's also the same as knowledge, which we don't say the K, but it's there. And they all come from the same root originally, which is just to know. So Jnana Mudra has this receptive quality. Obviously, the palms are facing up a little bit like satellite dishes. And the index finger and thumb tip are touching, which intimates awareness or presence. So it's presence in receptivity. If we're wanting to know the way things are, then the way things are is already the way. You don't even make them that way. You just have to be open. And so in Buddhism, this is talked about in a variety of different ways, not least shunyata, emptiness, which I like to translate for us as openness. Because emptiness can mean something, it's not always positive, is it, in our culture? If you say to someone, "Oh, you're so empty, so vacuous," it's not necessarily a compliment. But if we say to someone, "You're so open," that such and such a person is so open, really open. And that's a nice thing, right? So that's how we can understand shunyata, emptiness, or just shunya, just empty. as open. And within that listening or receptivity, inherently part of it is response. I often reference what I think you've seen, I've seen a few times now, is babies at weddings. And babies or toddlers at weddings, when the music starts, the baby or toddler will bop and dance spontaneously. They've never been told that music is for dancing, or they're just listening is response. Similarly in yoga. So when there's receptivity, there may be response in the body. It may range around. It may move left. It may move right. It may move forwards. It may move backwards. But it's not you or I that's moving it, or our memories, or our subservience to our scary yoga teachers, or anything like that. It's sahaja, spontaneous. So we're allowing movement, left, right, forwards, backwards. The sacrum is relaxed, that's the bony plate, below the lumbar and above the tail. And the tail is also relaxed, and the muscles around it. It's too much choice, Francis, isn't it? Too many mats to choose from. Katie doesn't know as well. She has so many mats to choose from. Give your fingers a little wiggle, and the three main nerves that run from the brachial plexus down into the fingers will be a little bit more hydrated in their sheaths. So nerves sit in sheaths, and then those nerves run down to the fingers. And if you hydrate the sheaths, then the nerves feel more healthy. So having moved, the fingers will change the cross of the legs. So the other one's in front. Similarly, the blanket is a break, by the way. You obviously can sit without it, but it tends to pull the pelvis forwards, which we want, but a little too far forwards. So we sort of put a limit on that, a break on that, and that's what the blanket's for. The buttock flesh is drawn out and back. I usually recommend leaning to the opposite side to the side you're adjusting. And TBH, to be honest, the best thing to do is, it's difficult, is to get the skin of your ass with the skin of your hand. So if you don't want to put your hands right in your pants in a public scenario, you can reach to the top of your ass through your trousers and just move it that way. You get a much better adjustment that way. But you can save that for home if you prefer. Huh? That's just a practical tip, because we're practical people, yogins, aren't we? And we want to be in the inner front edge of the sitting bones. The sitting bones are a bit like the bottom of a rocking horse. The inner edge of the rocker and the front edge of the rocker is our sort of target. And that's why we take the sitting bones out and back, not just back. They go out, so we bring ourselves to the inner. They go back, so we bring ourselves to the front. Again, Jnana Mudra. Or if you speak Telugu, Jnana Mudra. I think maybe in Hindi it's Gnan. But whatever language you say it in, it's knowing. Now, normally, but not always, this knowing is associated in some texts with knowing of what's called in some yoga texts Brahman, which literally means just expanded. But there's no limit on that expansion, so it's fully expanded. Brahman. It's a neutral. In the Sanskrit language, it's neither male nor female. Brahman. And it represents a level of knowledge, you could say, where instead of conceiving of things as separate, we understand their interdependence as a sort of magical oneness of everything. Brahman. So you can't conceive the magical oneness of everything, because it's infinite, isn't it? We don't know for sure, but it's postulated that the universe is probably infinite. Brian Cox thinks it probably is, for example. Other physicists are available. So if it's infinite, there's no way at all of grasping that, but you can open to it, you see. And we're back to our shunyata. And as we open to it, again, listening and response comes in, and the movements we see in yoga originated from this spontaneity. For example, the 9th century school of yoga called Tandava Yoga, which was a sort of spontaneous dance that expressed itself from the core center, Tandava Yoga. So relaxation, spontaneity, easefulness, a Saturday morning at the Buddhist Centre sort of mood, really. It's what we want. We're going to wiggle the fingers. We're going to bring the hands to the heart center. We're going to do a practice called nyasa. Most people have heard of vinyasa because it was a time when I first started teaching yoga when no one had heard of vinyasa, really. But now you can't go to a yoga studio without finding vinyasa, hatha vinyasa, vinyasa flow, vinyasa this, vinyasa that. So, but the original meaning of nyasa, and it's just a prefix v added, which normally, but not always indicates separation. Nyasa means to place. And that meant specifically placing energies in the body or qualities in the body in the sort of map of the universe that we make our body into in yoga. So we're going to place, we're going to nyasa, place, tong, T-A-M, but it's actually T-A with a straight line across the top, M with a dot underneath it. So that spells tong. And it is the bija mantra for Tara, for whom I've lit a candle this morning. And when you place, as yogis have done for a long time, when you place bijas, energies in the heart center, they act as an anchor. So that when you get pulled out into this and into that, the bija will be able to pull you back and you'll be able to find your way like a beacon back to the bija. So we're going to place it. So when we chant this together, tongue, we're going to chant it 3 times, but really imagine that you're planting a seed. The word bija means seed. So let's do it together. Take a deep breath in, inhale. Ta. Two more. Ta. Last one, the deepest breath of all. Ta. And then deep breaths after that to relax. Some of the exhales will be sigh-like, which we like. We want to allow that. So, to be empty, you have to be open, you have to let go. But letting go isn't something that you and I sort of attempt to do, but it's something we rest in. And so we call it Shraddha in the Sanskrit language, or Saddha if you're into early Pali Canon Buddhism, Saddha, which it intimates a kind of faith or confidence, the confidence to let go right now. Any other form of Shraddha isn't Shraddha. Like, I have faith in this teaching, I have faith in that teaching. Nominally, that's it. That's not it. Shraddha is not just like, I like, the Majjhima Nikaya or whatever. It's the confidence to let go right now. Confidence to let go right now. Confidence in what? That the oneness that is will negate clinging and will fall into peace as a result. Of course, great yogins would quite commonly continue to sit as we are now for the duration of this short class, but we're going to come out by releasing our hands and releasing our blanketing. And having done so, we're going to fold our legs back into virasana. Vira means hero. The shin should be tucked under. We're going to sit on 2 blocks, but you can sit on 3 if you need, or more. The knees shouldn't be uncomfortable, and the blocks shouldn't be too far forwards. They're under the buttocks, but not under the thighs. Huh? The legs are quite close together. So if the blocks are too far forwards, it makes it difficult to bring the legs close together. So just under your bum. And then we're going to practice Brahmari, Shanmukhi Mudra with Brahmari. So here's Shanmukhi Mudra. Don't do it because you won't be able to see any of the rest of the demonstration. Tragus gets closed, eyes get closed, don't press too hard. We're going to take a deep breath in and out to clear the nasal passages or the nadis, the energy channels, like that, in, out. And then we're going to partially close the nostrils. So 3 breath rounds. 1 round is an inhale plus an exhale. For 3 breath rounds. During those 3 breath rounds, the nostrils are partially closed for inhale and exhale, but the exhale is different to the inhales are hummed, like this. Until you've breathed out. So deep breath in and out through open nostrils, and then 3 rounds with partially closed nostrils. It's called Brahmari. Okay, see you on the other side. Oh, I should have warned you. It's really relaxing. Quite hard to do anything after that. But we will do something. We will do something. We'll come off our blocks. We'll stay relaxed, of course. Now, we're going to build a little head support. Now, for me, the head support is 1 block plus a neatly folded blanket. For most people, I would say it's going to be 3 blocks plus a neatly folded blanket. For some, it would be 2. But I'll show you, first of all, the most important thing is your neatly folded blanket. So I'm going to give you this blanket because those blankets aren't as good as these ones. Or you can just take this one, actually. This one's spare. There you go. That's good for corpse pose at the end because it's all snuggly, but for folding up, they're not quite as good. So super neat, please. We're trying to make a rectangle that's more or less the same sort of size as a yoga block. And it's not a competition, but, you know, I will be judging. So, you know, unfortunately, often in yoga, you don't get much chance to get tense. But during this particular moment, you can, if you want. You can really tense up and freak out and, you know, get sort of past voices of critical parents in your head and all that sort of thing. And all we want is that, a flat platform that more or less is the size of your blocks. Flat platform. A flat form. Flat platform. I can't say that. Okay. Anyway, you can, as I say, for most, you're going to want 2 or 3 blocks. For some, it's going to just be 1, and it's for the crown of your head. So actually, I'll go the other way so that the Zoomers can also benefit. It's going to go pretty much underneath your navel when you're on your hands and knees. And when you pop up, this is the very brief demonstration. The crown lightly touches the lift. So for me, I need 1 less block because we don't want to squash up the head, but we don't want to collapse down either. We don't want to collapse down either. So make sure you get it just right so you can lift up, and as you lift up, the head can drop down. There's something to drop down too. So that's it. I'm just enjoying myself now. So you should do the same. Life's short after all. So pop up whenever you're ready, extending the arms. So your head drops down, and you probably need more support than you think you need to. So you might take it. Remember, there are lots of blocks around. There's a mat next to you, and there's no one on it. Those things on there are for you. There's bits of equipment. So just grab it for you. Don't be shy. And we're reaching quite far underneath the posture, so that we can drop the crown of the head down, the very top of the head, the vertex, the highest point of the skull. So, a little wider apart. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's good. That's enough. And that one level with that one, so it's going back a bit. Again, don't move your feet. Your arms go open. Stretch like that. Don't move your hands either.
Oh, okay. This is one of my arms not working very well.
Well, it's on. Yeah. Generally, in this mode.
At the moment.
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, I think it's like a muscle. I think it kind of moves. Sometimes.
So you get pain. Yeah. And nothing up here.
Sometimes. Yeah. It moves from there.
Oh, it's probably coming from here.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. Well, I'll help you. Give me a hand.
That's all.
Especially with that bump.
Oh, there's one of those.
And that's it. Good like that. Don't move your hands. Just take a breath. So it goes from now.
A little, yeah.
Come down and go. Come down to me. Yeah. Well, yes, right the head, but not the spine. So you want to feel like you stretch up, the head releases down relative to the stretching up. You see what I mean? So the more you're stretching, the more up, the more your head should feel like it's dropping down. You should feel like you're length halfway. Take your knees a little way apart when you're kneeling, which you are now, I think. Toes together but not overlapping. And we're going to come forwards slowly. And I'm going to suggest blocks and blocks. Now, how high depends on you. You could, for example, this is a sort of high version, which works very nicely. But you could have any version of low at the front, high at the back. Doesn't matter. You know, so it could be higher than this, it could be lower than this. And we end up something like this, which I have to confess feels absolutely marvelous. And then you breathe into it if you want. So take it slow. And keep breathing free. Focus on areas of tension that are highlighted by the breath. In other words, when you scan the body, if there's a part of the body that when you're scanning it, your breath feels tense, then you know that part of the body is tense, because the breath is a mirror, a perfect mirror. And what's cool is, if you then let go of the tension in the breath, the tension in the body will also let go. They are entangled, not in the true sort of quantum sense, but a bit like that. Just breathe easy. Focus on releasing the tailbone. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft. So, let's put both hands on the floor, that one as well, the same as the other, so that can come down the floor. That's it. We'll just do it, and then we'll just change our blockage. That. Okay. That's it. Take a few breaths. It's not been a long time. Comfortable or not? 5 months. Have you not seen anybody about it?
Actually, doctors. Not so much.
Oh.
Are you taking painkillers?
Oh, thanks. Right, Katie. Seeing things about. Nothing happened, you didn't have an accident or anything like that. Just started.
I think the treat specialists in most of them might be like perimenopause, bone density. So it could be quite low in estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone about 1.1.
But you haven't started taking estrogen.
Normally you're fine, just not everything else.
So far. Still, you've only got 2 arms, so they're quite useful. You see if you can work something out.
Yes.
Come on up when you're ready. Take it slow. Nice and slow, because your blood pressure would have gone up when you were down. So it will now go down when you're up. Just take a couple of breaths. 2, 3, 4. You've had a busy week, Yuko. Oh, you have. See. 2, 3, 4. Deep breaths. We're going to bring ourselves up to standing. Was it worth it though, Yuko? Was it good late night? Oh, good. Good. Face this side of the room. Clear your mat of debris and detritus. And bring your feet together in Tadasana. So I say bring your feet together. They don't have to be together, but they should be close. It's fine for them to be apart. But if they are apart, make sure they're level. You don't have one forwards, one back or anything like that. Repeatedly spread your toes if you like that sort of thing. I do. Maybe I should get out more. Maybe I'll go out with Yuko more often for late nights. But, but actually, when you spread your toes, of course, the fascia that connects all the way along through the legs, through the back, even to the skull, all gets adjusted and moved. So move your toes a few times, not just once or twice, a few times. And then while you're feeling your feet, raise your arms up. Tone the tummy. So that means draw it in. I'll just adjust this microphone. Tone the tummy means draw it in. And then move a little, and listen to the body and respond. So listen and respond. So just try things out. Like if you feel stiff on one side, try releasing it and see how that affects your breath. And if the breath moves again, try moving the body again. Right? So, when I was younger, I used to live in Trinity Street, and the old Buddhist Centre was around the corner, and the Buddhist community was around the corner. This is in the early 90s. There was a group of us, young lads, who used to play music together. And one of the young lads, Ben, wrote a song called "Sometimes You Have to Go Backwards to Go Forwards." And good job, Ben. Because sometimes you have to release a stretch to be able to go into the stretch, Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. Think of climbing up a mountain. Sometimes there's a big rock. You've got to go down to be able to go back, Yeah, so look for height, look for lift, breathe through the nose. Find your way through. Movement is very helpful usually. Yeah. Take a big wide circle. Place your hands on your hips. Step your feet into a generous stride. Now by generous, I mean generous for your relative height. And so just for reference, I'm 5'9" and a quarter. And that quarter matters to me. Used to be 5'9.5", but you know what happens, get older. Anyway, that's how wide a 5'9.25" heighted person goes. And so you might be taller or shorter, and that's fine to go longer or more narrow. Raise the arms up. Obviously, I'm taller in heels. Tone the tummy, back toes in, front foot and leg out. Whole body turns that away. Whole body turns that away. So we're going to walk the front foot further across the width of the mat. Returning that way. We're going to walk the front foot further across the width of the mat. We're going to lift the back heel up and turn it out. You can have your hands on your hips for this if the arms are tight. That's fine. Breathing through the nose, jaw soft. Inhale. Exhale, bend your front knee. Virabhadrasana. Virabhadrasana. This is Virabhadrasana Ekam, number 1. Play with it. Don't just be in it, but see if you can make little movements that help you melt into the pose a little bit more holistically. And that means sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. Thank you again, Ben, for that marvelous song. Good. Inhale, come up. Turn back to the front, big circle with your arms, hands on your hips. And take deep breaths. Take a few deep breaths. Really appreciate the breath. Hands on the hips means your collarbones are going to be wide, your shoulder blades are going to be deep, and it means that you look like you've got attitude, which I like. Bit of attitude. You've got to stand up in the world sometimes. So wide chest, breathing easy. Really lift, really lift the chest like, you know, you got attitude. Because sometimes we can be perhaps a little over meek. Raise up if you want. Raise up and up and up. And remember, you can go backwards to go forwards. You can raise the up and move from left and right. You can do the Kermit the Frog when he introduces the Muppet Show, if you know what I mean. There's that marvelous thing at the beginning of the Muppet Show. If you haven't seen the Muppet Show for a long time, I recommend you to watch the Muppet Show again. Back toes in, front foot and leg out. Whole body's turning that way. Whole body's turning that way. And that means walking the front foot further across the width of the mat. It also means lifting the back heel, externally rotating it, and then bringing it down again. Light tone in the tum. I always want to turn that into that Boney M song, Brown Girl in the Ring, but I mustn't. Inhale, exhale, bend the knee, front knee. And then play, experiment, investigate. You know, things like some people find raising a heel up quite useful. I do. I often raise my front heel and or my back heel. In fact, as I'm talking to you right now, both my heels are up. But it's not just inherently good to raise the heels up. It's good if it's good, you know. It's good, and good here means that it helps you come together. Think of that John Lennon song, Come Together Over Me. Right? That's what the poses are singing. Right? Bring all the fibers, fiber by fiber, find them, ask them what they need to come into this pose. Keep the tummy lightly toned. Inhale. Come up, stand up, take a big circle with the arms. Some deep, natural, good, deep, natural breaths. Walk your feet towards each other, and we're going to take 2 blocks. No more and no less than 2 blocks. I'd like them to be purple, but other colors could be used, I expect. So 2 blocks in your hands. And if you're in this row, face this way. And if you're in this row, face this way. And if you're in this row, face this way. And if you're me, I'm in this row, so I'll face this way. Now take the foot that's closest to me, and I'm going to take the foot that's closest to you forwards. You're taking the one closest to me. You got it. The one, no, the other one. That one forwards. Yeah, you got it. That's it. Yep, keep that. It's good. And then the other one back. You got it. Good. Breathe through the nose. Now imagine for a moment you'd spent years saving up. It's been your life's ambition to open your own bakery. And you'd baked for the first time your first 2 loaves. You wanted everyone to see them. So you raise up your loaves, proud bakers. Look what I've done. One sourdough and the other is rye bread. And that's too heavy, the rye bread one. No, they're both sourdough. Light tone on the tummy. Inhale, exhale, extend forwards and down. Now we've got to let go of the whole baker's imagery because you shouldn't do this with bread. Jaw soft, eyes soft. You got it. You got it. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Now, the gluteus maximus, even if you're not good at anatomy, you know the gluteus maximus because for some reason people always know 2 muscles in the body. They know the gluteus maximus because it's the bum, and they know the biceps because they're good to show off to people when you're showing off to people. So gluteus maximus on the back leg needs to release. One way to do that is to bend the knee, to play with the bending and extending, etc. Just play, sort of see if moving your pelvis helps, or coming further forwards in the pose, or further backwards in the pose, or lifting your toes up, or lifting your heels up. Try things out and investigate. And just like a painter puts a stroke of paint on the canvas and then she steps back and looks and gets the feeling in her heart center where to put the next stroke.
And then that becomes a series of quick succession of standing back, looking, responding, listening, responding until she is painting. Huh? She is painting, or he is painting, or they are painting. Now take the block that's nearest your big toe, take it one height setting lower. Nearest your big toe. Just check you've done the one nearest your big toe. That's big toe. Yeah, you got it. Okay. And then take your hand off the one nearest the little toe and turn towards me. I'm over here. Yeah, good. Turn towards me, the other me. This me. That's good. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft. Relax if you want. Extend your bottom ribs if you want. Imagine you would love this pose for a minute. Try that as an experiment. Like, but I don't. Go on, just pretend you do. Just say to yourself, this pose, I love this one. I love Ah, good job, Katie. You're nearly there with loving it. You're on the journey. Okay, back to the 2 blocks. Dos bloques. That was Spanish, by the way. And then when you're ready, hinge from the hip joints and come up. Good job, yeah. Step, breathe, and swap. Step the other foot back. Go ahead. Good, you got it. It's very successful. Let's do the proud baker thing again. I enjoyed that. But be really get into the scenario. You've made bread. You're proud. Yes. You're running across, say, 5 ways, for example. I think there's quite a lot of bakeries there. That's why I'm going for that. 5 ways, showing off to the other bakers. Look what I've done. Inhale, exhale, extend forwards. Humbly bowing before the God of baking in thanks. Jaw soft, brain soft, throat soft. Playful, relaxed, investigative. One of the things I always like about the Buddhist tradition is, in the early Pali Canon texts anyway, often the Buddha's teachings are described in various ways, including inviting investigation. One of the descriptions, they invite investigation. Isn't that great? So it's the same here. This invites investigation. And investigation requires play. It requires experimentation. And once you start experimenting, then biofeedback begins, and knowing spontaneously arises until you get into a flow where this sense of separate self is replaced by spontaneity. Yeah? A sort of dance where, as Yeats said in one of his poems, you can't tell the dance from the dancer. You can't tell the dance from the dancer. Now we're going to lower the block nearest the big toe, or the great toe, as it's sometimes called in anatomy books, which I quite like. The great toe. It's a great toe, isn't it? It'd be very difficult to stabilize yourself without it. So press down into the hand of the block nearest the great toe, and the other hand comes into your pelvis, and you turn away from me. Yeah, you turn away from me. Away from me. Yeah, that's it. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft. Eyes soft. Extend your bottom ribs. That's it, Jesse. Do that again. Now I've seen that you can do it. I want you to do it more. Yeah, you should never have shown me you could do it. Good. Barbara, that's beautiful. Turn a bit more. Put those bottom ribs long. Oh, good Lord. Breathing through your nose. Jaw soft. Jaw soft. Okay, back to both blocks. Oh, yeah, that's a big pose. Take the blocks to their highest height. And then inhaling, coming up, stepping your back foot forwards, having a kind of little shake out if you want, some sort of little shake out, and then turn towards me so I can still see we're all friends after that. And then again, more proud bakery. We've made 2 more loaves. We sold the first 2. But we're still proud. We'll settle down eventually once the bakery's been running for a few months. We're still so proud. So we raise up the blocks. Inhale, exhale, fold down. Now, the heels, if anything, should turn out, not in. And one thing you can do, which I think is quite nice, maybe I should get out more, is to raise the heels up. And when raising the heels up, you can move your heels to move the pelvis, you know, which can feel pretty good. You can wag your tail, you can get into your back. You can do wheelies with your toes. You can move between a wheelie with the toes and a wheelie with the heels, a heelie wheelie. Thank you. And, you know, because when you're moving your feet like this, you're hydrating the myofascia all the way up through the legs, of course, very obviously, including the gastrocnemius calf muscles that cross the knee and the hamstrings that also cross the back. So however movement you feel you have, you're going to get more through massaging in experimental and investigative ways. Some people, but not most, but some people find after a while, and of course it's also to do with how long your legs are and so on, after a while the lower back might dip down, which is good. We want to feel it's dipping down, concaving. If in that unusual circumstance you do find your lower back dipping down, then it would feel more comfortable to take the blocks lower. For most, that's not the case, but just in case that happens to you, that's what you would do. You'd take the blocks lower if your lower back was dipping down. So this is Uttanasana. Uttan plus asana, 3 particles. Ut, intense. Tan, stretch. Asana, semantically drifted in certain texts after the 11th century to mean posture. Now, here's a cool thing we can do. You're probably going to need to bend your knees, or possibly going to need to bend your knees, because I want you to bring your hands completely flat to the floor. Completely flat to the floor. So most of us, that we've got 2 choices: break the back or bend the knees. And of course, only one of those is a good choice. Then we're going to place our hands underneath our feet, palms of the hands up. We're going to tread on our own hands. It's called Pada Hasta, Pada Hastasana. So you tread on your own hands. You might keep the knees bent. We want the back to stay soft, even if the legs have to work. The back should be happy. And there can be play, such as moving left or right. Breathing through the nose. Experiment, try leaning the weight forwards or backwards or more medial or lateral. It has a very good effect on the 8 bones in the front of the hand, where the arm bone meets what we might say the hand bones. It first meets these 8 bones in 2 rows. These bones together with a band of a ligamentous band at the back make the carpal tunnel. And that carpal tunnel also needs hydration, so a little pressure and movement and breath. Okay, release the hands. Bend your knees more until your ribs touch your thighs. Bring your hands up onto your thighs above your knees and straighten and lock your elbows. So knees are bent but arms are straight. Breathe through your nose. Allow any energy to come down to your feet. So movement can help with that. Moving left, moving right, moving forwards, moving back. And then if you feel ready, you begin your process of walking up, but keep the energy down in the feet. And come up slowly enough that you don't get dizzy. I quite like a little Elvis Presley moment after that. I quite like an Elvis Presley moment after anything, to be honest, after a cup of tea, after a chat with a friend, but particularly after this. So an Elvis Presley moment for me is a little kind of thing. So it just keeps things loose. Oh, you got a good Elvis in you. Yeah, you have. Some people have got just got Elvis in them. They can't help it. Now, once you've Elvised past tense, then you're going to wiggle your fingers and stretch your arms out like you're kind of excited to hug a tree. There's a tree there. You just can't wait to get going with the tree hug. So wiggle the fingers excitedly. And then right arm over the top of the left. Let me just move this microphone. Right arm over the top of the left, and then repeat. Yeah? And so you might do that a few times. So one arm over the top of the other, stretches the deltoid. And often that's enough. We're like, if you can breathe into it. Remember, the stretch isn't yoga. Yoga has two parts. The stretch is just stretching. Yoga is a rich sensation, for example, a stretch, plus giving to that rich sensation. Then you're practicing yoga. Just stretching is just stretching. You can do that at the gym or whatever. So when you feel the stretch, give to it. And you give or resist in life with our breath, we all do. So breathe easy, keep the eyes soft. Repeat one more time. And then finally, we're going to go for a wrap round. Now, how far that is, I don't know, but there is a technique to get further, and that is lots of little movements. So you can see I can take my hands here, and then, so that they may not look that far around, but if I take lots of little movements, I can work the top arm further over the bottom arm. So, and then you breathe into it. The aim is not to get your hands as close together as possible. The aim is to have a rich sensation like a stretch, and then give to that rich sensation. By giving to the rich sensation, you move into the field that underpins all sensations. So referring back to particle physics, we know the ultimate identity of any particle, such as an electron, is its field, such as the electron field, or a Higgs particle, the Higgs field, or a photon in the electromagnetic field. So similarly, all sensations are part of one field ultimately. And that field is, we can just call it the interdependent field, and you can experience it subjectively by giving through any particular sensation. You can find the field by opening to the particle. Okay, so you release. Nice and slow, don't rush. Have a little wiggle, have a little shake out, have a little movement. And if you're feeling limber, and any way you want, it don't have to be self-conscious. We can be self-conscious if you want, it's up to you, but don't have to be. You can be relaxed if you want to. It's the weekend. Okay, and once you're ready, stretch your arms out, and like you're going to hug a tree. Has anyone hugged any trees yet this year? Yeah, who's that? Who said yeah? Oh, good. Well done. I haven't yet, but I'm going to. As soon as I can. I hope the rest of you are as well. But make sure there's no dog stuff. Choose a good tree. Okay. Opposite. It's the one you just did. You've not hugged any trees yet, Heidi? Oh my Lord. I think you're going to, aren't you? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to, for sure. What about you, Jessie? It's been too cold to hug trees, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. It's too cold in Scotland, but it's warming up. Jessie, have you hugged any trees this year? Have you ever hugged a tree? I thought as much. You've got that look of someone who might have hugged a tree. And by that, I mean happy. Just before that gets misunderstood. It's good to hug trees. And then wrap around when you're ready. And breathe through the nose. And you can find, if you're, you find the field. The field we also call the matra. Matra is Sanskrit for mother. Can you hear? Matra, mother. If you had the sort of right English accent, mother. Or matrika. Matrika also means the field. It also is the name for the Sanskrit alphabet because everything is made out of sound particles. Everything we perceive, we name. So the Sanskrit alphabet is also known as the matrika. Ka tends to be a sort of added as a bit of an endearment, or even to mean something so little, small. I sometimes call this room the matrika. Sorry, no, I don't. I call it I can't remember. I call it little monastery. What is that? I'll tell you in a minute. Take a few breaths. Jota. Or just matrika. So let's
Satsana Mathika. Okay, slow and easy. Pull your arm back like a bow on a cello. And take a breath or two. Now, next, we're going to either hold our elbows. Just remove this top so it's clearer. You're either going to hold your elbows or bring your hands into Paschima Namaskara. So, holding the elbows is just like this. And that keeps the shoulders back. Paschima, which means behind, Namaskara means reverential action. So, Namaskara. And you can see again, the technique I use is lots of little movements. Not trying to do everything all at once. And I'm using my fingers against the spinous processes, which is where the bones sort of stick out. Now, I could keep going with those lots of little movements. It's quite useful too. So you can either hold your elbows or do that, and then we're going to step the feet apart. Relatively generous stride. Breathing through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft. We're going to be turning the whole body that way. So we're going to turn the back toes in, front foot and leg out, turn the whole body that way. Walk the front foot further across the width of the mat, away from me. And lift the back heel, externally rotate it, and then bring it down again. So you're squaring up. Because some of the fibers of the gluteus maximus are external rotators, they turn your thigh out, we don't want those switched on. We don't want the external rotation of the thigh. So we want to remind the buttocks to not externally rotate the thigh, to let it come in instead. Inhale, lift up from the inner groin of the back leg. Exhale, extend. Hinge from your hip joints. And it may be you come a little way and stay there and breathe into that. Imagine the back leg releasing behind you. Imagine the back leg is releasing behind you. Like you're standing in a strong, fast-flowing river. And the river just sort of irresistibly pulling the back leg behind you. And as you feel that pull, it kind of releases the torso forwards. And of course, this is because of the way the psoas is being instructed to let go of subtle gripping. The psoas is a muscle from the top of the inner thigh across the lateral pubis, underneath the abdominals into the sides of the spine. Lead with the bottom of the breastbone and ascend. Keep your hands in situ, turn to the front, continue to turn around to the other way, walking your front foot further across the width of the mat before lifting the back heel, externally rotating it and bringing it down again. So turning the back heel out means we turn the back thigh in, of course. Breathe through your nose, soft eyes, light tone in the tummy, find the pelvic floor. So I just repeat that instruction. Light tone in the tummy, which is like sort of almost like a combing, reiterated combing of the fibers upwardly. And find the pelvic floor. Now, sometimes we take the wrong approach and we sort of grip and grasp to try and find the pelvic floor, but actually we should relax. Because the pelvic floor is already there. It's not lost. No one's lost their pelvic floors. So you can find it. I did think that as I said that. I thought there are some people that might say, well, I kind of, a little bit. But you haven't actually completely lost the pelvic floor. It would be a complete mess in here if you had. Your organs would all fall out onto the floor. So inhale, lift up from the inner groin of the back leg. Inhale. Exhale, come forward. Good. And imagine the back leg is in a strong, fast-flowing river. And it's kind of being pulled back, sort of irresistibly pulled back. Jaw is soft, eyes are soft, brain is soft, throat is soft. This is Pajvottanasana. Now, interesting name, Pajvottanasana, because Pajva means sides, Ut is intense, and Tan is stretch. So the sides of the body are an area we want to look at extending in this, both sides of the body, the sides of the ribs. Good. Lead with the bottom of the breastbone on the inhalation. Turn back to the front of the room and walk your feet back towards each other and slowly
Release the arms. And we're standing what I call Kayotsaga. Now that is a version of Tadasana where the feet are apart, parallel, toes are spread, arms are hanging loose, head is up, breathing is through the nose. And of course, there can be investigative movement, such as movement of the toes. When you move the toes, you can adjust the bones in the feet. For example, the sesamoid bones, which predominate down, 2 bones on each foot at the base of each big toe. If you move your feet, you can feel those sesamoid bones. And what we would like to ideally do is feel the medial bone. There are 2, so there's one nearer the little toe side and one nearer the big toe side. We want to feel the one nearer the little toe side through repeated lifting and landing, but we don't want to worry about it. Like, oh, I don't know, I can't feel it. Don't worry about it, because worrying contracts, relaxation expands. Hands on the hips, breathing through the nose, light tone in the tummy. Movements might help. Find the pelvic floor. Jaw soft. Raise the arms up. You can hold the elbows or stretch them straight, or play, You could stretch one arm, you could stretch the other arm, you could wiggle the fingers. There's a lot of variations, but it's all listening and responding. It's all listening and responding. Breathing through the nose. And then we're going to press the feet, raise the fingers on the inhale. So inhale, exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips. It's called Utkatasana. And Utkata is Sanskrit for squatting. So here we are sort of reverencing the Jain tradition. There's some rivalry traditionally between Jains and Buddhists, but it's sort of silly because they believe loads of the same things. And if you look at the Jain versions of Buddhas, the Tirthankaras, and they often look pretty much exactly like Buddhas, except you'll recognize them because the Tirthankaras are naked and Buddhas are not. Okay, standing up, big wide circle. Naked. I had to announce it, I think. It needed announcing. Hands to the heart, breathing through the nose. So these are ways in which you can recognize the difference between Tirthankara, which means forward crosser. Buddhas are also sometimes called Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras are sometimes also called Buddhas in the different traditions. So they exchange these terms. Arahants are also used in both traditions. But you can recognize one from the other by their nakedness, but also often on Buddha's chest, there's swastika, and there's a Srivasta on the Jain chest. So you know the difference that way as well. Anyway, it's just nerd notes for anyone who's a nerd. Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms diagonally down. Breathe through your nose and raise your arms up. And lightly tone the tummy. So actually the swastika now associated with what we call Hinduism really was predominantly a Buddhist symbol originally, and still is in many Buddhist countries. And this, of course, is ignoring the horrendous cultural appropriation of the Nazis. It was a completely different sort of thing. So moving left, right, and making sure the neck is soft and the tummy is toned, and breathing is easy, playing and looking for lift, looking for height, and looking for bhogaha. It's the nominative singular for enjoyment, bhogaha. So that means it's in the nominative case, which means it's the subject of the sentence, or the main actor of the sentence. So enjoyment. Okay, big wide circle. Good job. Hands to the hips. Let's hear some deep breaths. Walk your feet, while breathing deep, walk your feet close. Spread those toes. We're getting into this now, I think, this freedom to play, to spread the toes, to play, and to be looser in a way that's effective for us here and now. Raise the arms up again. Wiggle if you wanna, any way that works for you. It could be that the elbows are bent. The body knows if you open to it. You got to listen, like a toddler at a wedding. They don't, they're not thinking about their dance moves. They haven't practiced them before.
They just hear the music and then that's all, then it's, you know, they're bopping. Next time you go to a wedding, I bet you'll see a toddler dancing. Press the feet, raise the fingers, inhale, exhale, bend ankles, knees and hips. So udgata, and although it does mean squatting, literally, udgata, it's sometimes translated as fears. And of course, we don't have to squat. Not everyone can squat that low because of the length of the calcaneus tendons, which is the longest tendon in the body, and also because of the height of the talus in the foot. Again, ascending. Good job, big circle. Hands to the heart. Tadasana Namaskara. Deep breaths, honest breaths, natural breaths. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft, tongue soft, etc. Now we're going to step apart. You can do it sort of, you know, in a sort of deliberate way, or you can do it in a disco-y way. I don't mind. So I recommend disco-y sort of. That's what I'm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Got some disco people in the room, if that is the correct term, disco person. Keep the chest wide open, turn the left toes in, turn the right foot and leg out, turning on the ball of the foot first, finishing off the turn on the heel, raise your right arm up. Inhale, lift higher. Exhale, pelvis movement, pelvis. Pelvis. That's what's moving. So therefore, the hamstrings are getting stretched because they're attached to the pelvis. So you'll feel a good old stretch in the hamstrings of the front leg. Therefore, let there be movement to hydrate those hamstrings. Let there be tone in the front thighs, which can be facilitated through movement on the foot, where the pressure is, stimulates tone further up. So if the pressure is on your inner heel, outer heel, front heel, back heel, ball of the foot, inner ball of the foot, outer ball of the foot, wherever it is, then that helps to tone. Now your top arm can be up or down. It can be hands on the hip, or even some people like to reach around and hold their thigh. I'm one of those some people. I really like holding the thigh. Up to you, but breathing through the nose. Now you might, in transit, as it were, want to take a block because we're going to bend our knee, walk the back foot in. Now, you can use a block or not, but I think most of you will want to because we're going to come forwards. Now the block should be lined up with the 4 outer toes and it's a bit wobbly, which is good, so that it can be categorized, as I like to, as part of wobbly fun. A category of yoga that I enjoy very much. Wobbly fun. Okay. Breathe easy to yourself. Occasionally, some people like to bend the top leg and take hold of it for what's called chapasana. Chapa means sugar cane in Sanskrit. The reason why it's called sugar cane is because many deities hold a sugar cane bow, including Tara, in our midst this very day. Marvelous. Keep calm, as they say on those cups, and go back. Trikonasana. Don't go to pieces. It's quite tempting, isn't it, to just go to pieces? Don't go to pieces. Take a breath or two. Top arm can be up or down, as you like. And then inhale, come up. Take some deep breaths. Now you know what you're doing. You'll know whether or not you want to block for the other side. So you make one ready if it's not already ready. Too many readies in that sentence. Turn the back toes in, front foot and leg out on the ball of the foot. Finish off the turn on the heel. Should end up with heel to arch, as you have beautifully. Very good. By the way, I'm enjoying your jumper today. It's a really nice jumper. Is it soft? You can sort of tell a soft jumper from a mile away. Raise the arms up. Breathe easy. Light tone on the tummy. So if you tone your tummy, you'll feel it brings the pelvis with you, keeps your lower back muscles on. Inhale, raise your lead arm. Exhale, pelvis movement. Pelvis, pelvis. So that requires a hamstring stretch. Breathe through. Lovely, beautiful. Good Lord. A high caliber of student we have today. And then if you want, you can enjoy it. You don't have to, but it is the weekend. And it's traditional for people to enjoy things at the weekend. Some people go out for brunch on Sunday mornings. That's enjoyable. Some people go shopping. That's not enjoyable, but some people think it is. Me too. Breathe easy. Now bring your arm down if you like brunch, if you ever liked having brunch. Me too. Bend your front knee. Walk your back foot in towards your front foot.
And take the block, line it up with the 4 outer toes, walk in, walk in, walk in until you're ready to come up. Take the block ahead of your foot, not next to it, but ahead of it. It will make balance a little more easy. Breathing through the nose. There is the option for those that want to take it, to take Chapasana, but it is just an option. Good. Slowly moving through the air like it was something thicker. Come back to Trikonasana. Take 5 deep breaths. Beautiful. Relax. Let spontaneity happen. Like you can move your top arm. You can let spontaneity happen. Inhale. Come up. Well done. Walk your feet towards each other. Yeah, keep walking them in. And let us make for ourselves a lovely platform. Let us do that together. So how are we going to make this lovely platform? Well, we've already folded our blankets earlier, and I think they're still folded, all neat and lovely for our lovely platform. Having constructed a lovely platform, I can't think what the Sanskrit is for lovely platform, but I feel like I'll have to look it up now. We're going to lay on this lovely platform with our tummies. And we're going to stretch the tummy so that we feel some extension coming from the inner thighs. And we're going to stretch the legs back so we feel extension going to the inner groins. And between those 2 points, the deep belly stretching forwards, the inner groin stretching back, we'll be able to create a very deep stretch in the psoas and the iliacus muscles, which will benefit our pose enormously. So stretch lots of times, like lots and lots and lots of times. Forwards with the tummy, backwards with the legs. When you're ready, place your fingers on the floor ahead of you, like you're playing a piano. Could be cupped, could be flat, up to you. Jaw soft. Notice if your heels are turning in and stop it. Okay. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah. Heels in, naughty. Heels not in, good. Reach your one arm back behind you and see if you can catch a wild leg. Yeah, get one of those wild legs. Got one. Gotcha. Breathing through your nose to yourself. Oh, gotcha. Wild leg.
Beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? It does look beautiful, doesn't it? People look like art, don't they? Yeah, you look like art. Okay, then come down. Take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. And look like art again, if you wouldn't mind. Art's good, isn't it? Everyone makes a bit of art. Breathe easy, draw soft. Good job. So listen and respond. Like a baby at a wedding. Good. Okay. Come down, drop the knees, and then let's get a little stretch going on again. Stretch the groin, stretch the tummy. You really get that length going on. Get a feeling of being balanced. And then, dos legos. I don't think Spanish for leg is legos. But anyway, slowly, very, very slowly. And you've got to get your position on the lift right as well. We're going to see if we can take both legs at the same time. Now, if that's difficult or impossible, or just means face planting your beautiful face, then do it one leg at a time again. Because, you know, those cheekbones should be taken care of. Very handsome people you are.
Good. Back of the body into the front of the body lifting. Well done. Come down. Come down. Nice and easy. Breathe, take a breath. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 breaths. Place your hands on the floor and push yourself up onto hands and knees. Push your blockage to one side. Take a breath. Take the arm that's furthest away from this side of the room and feed it underneath your body. So I'm feeding mine towards you. You're feeding yours towards me or towards these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Palm up, turn towards me. Like I'm turning towards you. So you turn towards me. Yeah, yes, it. And then the other arm extends out to fingertips. Breathe through your nose. Good job. And take 5 or 6 deep breaths. Or less or more. But breathe into it. Saying yes with the breath is the most fundamentally important part of our yoga practice, saying yes. And that's saying yes to openness or emptiness. And saying yes to openness or emptiness means that we're saying that we want to become available to the moment, available to serve the moment. And after all, there is nothing else but the moment. Bring your arm back, press down, back to hands and knees. Catch a deep breath that's deliberate and deep and expressive. And then the other arm goes underneath the body, palm facing up in the same way. And come into the same posture. Breathing through your nose. Breathing through your nose. Well done, everyone. Nice and easy return to center. Take a moment in a down face dog, so straight up when you're ready, toes tucked under, push from front to back. Just stretch through the back. So just lift your bum right up in the air, make an inverted V shape, down face dog. And stretch through the back in any way that you can. So you can bend your knees, you can extend your knees, you can just play with it, see if you can find a route through the shoulders, through the back. Like water finding its way through rock. Huh? Good. Good. Yeah. Find a way through. Okay, well done. Come down. Cool, calm, collected. And we're into our final pose, which I think you'll be happy to almost launch into, which is down. It's not down face dog. We just done that. It's corpse pose, Shavasana. But you do need to be down on the floor to do it. You're going to lay on your backs, make sure you're warm enough. There are multiple blankets. Lisa's really keen on this one. This is world's expert at it. Take other blankets if you want. There's millions, just grab them. Let's look at all these things everywhere. Take more blankets. Have 2, have 3. Have a cigar if you want. Just relax. Lay on your back. Make sure, as I say, you're warm, you're comfortable. Palms face up. And this is a very important pose, just so we understand how important it is. I'll mention to you at this point that in the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, that is to say the Yoga Shastra of Dattatreya, there are only 4 practices mentioned, only 4. And out of the 4, this is one. The point of the practice, we're told in that same text, the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, is to dissolve. The word is laya, L-A-Y-A, laya or layanam in the accusative case, layanam. So that means to dissolve, but it also means to melt. It also means absorption. So the first thing we do is make sure the body is in such a position, the arms are wide, the legs are not too wide, in such a position that energy can flow freely through it. Huh? There's no blockages. So jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft. The text tells us simply to find a lonely place, a place we can be on our own and lay on our backs as if we were dead. It says that our mouths should face the sky and that our limbs should be loose. Our limbs should be loose. And it gives us a little more instruction too. You'll remember earlier when we talked a little bit about particles and fields, the so-called particle wave duality, particles and fields, and that the ultimate identity of any particle is its field. And therefore, you can use any particular sensation to find your way to that field. After all, it is the field that governs the movements of every sensation that's ever felt. The text even tells us that we could use the sensations in the big toe, the great toe, of the left or right foot. So let's do just that. Let's feel the sensations in the big toe of the left foot. Let's open to those sensations. Receiving them, just as we did with Jnana Mudra, that receiving modality at the beginning. And as we fall into the field, our subjective experience is one of expansion, of total expansion. Brahman. Total expansion. Feel into the body Perhaps wiggling the toes and the fingers. And allow little stretches to come. You might stretch out your arms or legs. You might run a hand through your hair or rub your eyes. Just natural kind of coming to experiences. And after these little stretches, it feels natural to bend the legs, to place the soles of the feet onto the floor. And then to scoot the buttocks under, towards the heels, lengthening the back, giving ourselves an opportunity to completely release into the breath, to completely release into the breath. Completely release into the breath. Roll when you're ready to lay on your side facing towards this side of the room, away from the shrine, with knees drawn up, tummy soft, and everything that can be relaxed is relaxed, the jaw, the brain, and those knees being drawn up allows that softness in the tummy, and that softness in the tummy, if you rest in it, has a deeply restorative effect. Just rest in that softness in your tummy. Roll the other way when you're ready. You're ready, and lay comfortably on your other side. Again, with the knees drawn up. From there, let a little light in, just gently. Maybe some more of those little organic stretches, like stretching your arms or your legs. And when you feel ready, then we're going to bring ourselves up easy from the side, using our arms to assist our ascent. We'll face towards the shrine side of the room, and either externally or internally, if you agree with the following sentence, you can say Om, which means I agree. May any merit gained in our acting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings without exception. Om. Don't forget you planted a tongue in your heart center earlier, and it will remain there all day and into past brunch tomorrow as well. So if you feel pulled out of your center, you know what to do. Thanks for your time, really appreciate it. Next week, for 1 week only, we're in the downstairs room on Saturday, and bring your coats and things up to hang them up outside, because there's a big retreat in the Buddhist Centre next weekend. So they've very kindly allowed us to continue, but we'll be in the room downstairs. Thanks, gang. Thank you. Thank you.